I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, April the 1st, 2015. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed U.S. House Speaker John Boehner to Jerusalem today. The Prime Minister told Boehner that his visit to Israel was a, quote, testament to the historic and enduring bind that unites our two nations, our two democracies. Boehner affirmed that historic connection, adding that while we may have political disagreements from time to time, the bonds between our two nations are strong and they're going to continue to be strong. Later today, Netanyahu spoke to the press responding to what he called a bad deal being negotiated now in Lausanne, Switzerland between Iran and the P5+1, and addressed the fact that calls for Israel's annihilation continue to come out of the Islamic Republic.
Yesterday, an Iranian general brazenly declared, and I quote, "Israel's destruction is non-negotiable,"
referring there to a statement made by the commander of the Basij militia of Iran's Revolutionary Guards, Mohammad Reza Nakht.
But evidently, giving Iran's murderous regime a clear path to the bomb is negotiable. This is unconscionable. Now is the time for the international community to insist on a better deal. Iran must stop its aggression in the region, stop its terrorism throughout the world, and stop its threats to annihilate Israel. That should be non-negotiable.
And concern over the Iranian threat was also addressed by Israel's President Reuven Rivlin as he met today with a bipartisan delegation of members of the U.S. Congress. Rivlin told the group that there was great concern over the threat of a nuclear Iran, not just to Israel, but to the world. Rivlin said, despite this, I have no doubt that under the leadership of the American president, members of Congress and the Senate, it is possible to stop every evil in the world. The congressional delegation was headed by Republican Representative Michael Turner of Ohio, who serves as chairman of the House of Representatives Subcommittee on Tactical Air and Land Forces. Turner told Rivlin, "We are here today as a bipartisan delegation. We have worked and continue to work on the joint cooperation with Israel on the important issue of missile defense, including U.S. support for Iron Dome." Also in the group visiting, Vice Chairman of the subcommittee, Republican Representative Paul Cook of California, and ranking Democratic member on the Subcommittee on Strategic Forces, Representative Loretta Sanchez of California as well, among others. The International Criminal Court held a ceremony today at The Hague to welcome the, quote, State of Palestine as the 123rd state party to the Rome Statute. Israel, of course, is against the move, and it had seemed that the Palestinians would not turn to the ICC and plan to bring war crimes charges against Israel after Israel unfroze tax revenues to the Palestinian Authority this past Friday. The United States, like Israel, has always maintained that there is no state of Palestine at present and that two states can only be achieved through direct negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians and not via unilateral actions such as the turn to the ICC. 3 men believed to be linked to the deadly shootings in Paris earlier this year of a female police officer and 4 Jews in a kosher supermarket have been arrested. The men are said to be connected to the shooter, Islamist terrorist Ahmadi Coulibaly. 7 men are said to have been arrested and placed under formal investigation since the attacks in Paris in early January, committed by Coulibaly, and since the Charlie Hebdo attack by brothers Saeed and Sharif Kouachi. And the Jerusalem Post reports that the mother of a victim of another terror attack is leading a group of young people to Israel later this month. Latifa Ibn Ziyaten's 30-year-old son, Master Sergeant Imad Ibn Ziyaten, an off-duty paratrooper, was shot and killed in Toulouse, France on March the 11th of 2012 by Mohammed Merah, who days later shot and killed 3 Jewish children and the father of 2 of them at the Ozar HaTorah Jewish Day School. After the tragedy, Ibn Ziyaten founded the Imad Ibn Ziyaten Association for Youth and Peace. And on April the 22nd, she will lead a group of young students from France on a Voyage for Living Together project to Israel and the West Bank. To help prepare for the trip, the group took part in a workshop yesterday organized by the Israeli Embassy in Paris. Ibn Ziatin told the Jerusalem Post, "Our goal is to transform these young people into ambassadors of peace." Actor Richard Gere is in Israel this week. He is filming the new Joseph Cedar film, Oppenheimer Strategies. But Gere is also in the country as a guest of the Paris Center for Peace and is set to meet with former Israeli President Shimon Peres and the center's young ambassadors, a group of 25 Jewish, Muslim, and Christian high school students, part of his efforts to promote coexistence. And turning now to our programming for tonight, Wednesday, April the 1st. At 8 o'clock, JBS's Eli Kohanim speaks to President of the Ruderman Family Foundation, Jay Ruderman, on how the foundation advocates for full inclusion of people with disabilities in the Jewish community. Then at 9 tonight, Mark Golub sits down with Jewish comedian Jackie Mason on L'chaim, and at 10 o'clock, AIPAC campus activists talk about their experiences advocating for Israel and combating anti-Israel sentiments on campuses. That's from the 2015 AIPAC National Policy Conference. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, a new segment of Thinking Out Loud with Micah Halpern. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, April the 1st, 2015. I'm Teisha Bader.